Thank you for visiting Best Bible Commentaries. In this video, I would like to show you some examples of different study Bibles. Some of the ones I'm going to show you are well reviewed and they've been around for a while. They're more classics, and some of the other ones are newer releases. And so if you just want to see more about what's out there, I hope this video will be helpful to you. One of the reasons why I like to give attention to study Bibles is because I consider them basically commentaries. There are comments and notes on the bottom of a page or on the side of a page that follow a particular theme or a particular theology, but there are authors commenting on the inspired text in a way that is hopefully helpful to the reader. So I'll show you a couple of different study Bibles today, and I'll start off with the Archaeological study Bibles. This one on my right here is based on the NIV, and this one has been around for maybe 10 years or so. This one is a nice quality hardback. You can get them in other formats, though. I think you can get this one electronically as well. It says Archaeological Study Bible, or that's the title, but there's actually all sorts of information in here on history and theology and archaeology too. But it's more than just archaeology. Here's just a historical blurb that helps a reader understand Isaiah chapter 7. Here's a full color photograph to help you understand Ecclesiastes 2. It's got a nice design to it where the pages are made to look a little bit older. It's not really add to the text, your understanding of the text. It's just a kind of a pretty design. This is about a stone tablet regarding a Samaritan myth that sheds some insight on Psalm 8. This particular article here is a full page on the chronology of Ezra and Nehemiah. So there are a lot of photographs in here and illustrations, and there's maps. Here's a Roman theater and information about that. So this one's been around for a little while, but it's still a great resource. An archaeological study Bible that is a little newer to the scene is from Crossway, I believe. Yep, from Crossway, and it uses the ESV version, English translation, and it also has different full color pictures. This one is a photo of a Negev sandstone that sheds some light apparently on Psalm 125 or 126. Here's another picture of early Bronze Age fortification, and it's related again to Psalms. Let's get out of the Psalms here for a second. Okay, so here's a statue of Ammon. Here is a map of David defeating the Amorites. So it's similar in the sense that it's full color photographs, shows you different pictures of archaeological digs, or here's a relief here of the Phoenicians. So a lot of readers like the Archaeological Study Bible. Those who like history, I think, will particularly enjoy it, or just archaeology would particularly enjoy it. Geography. I think people who have interests like that these study Bibles here would be appealing to them. Another one that I want to show you is called the Reformation Study Bible. This is obviously or it's not a leather, it's a faux leather. But the Reformation Study Bible has been around for maybe 10 or 15 years, maybe 20. And the bottom of the page notes follow Reformation theology, or shed light on Reformation theology and related to the biblical texts. There's some different articles in here as well, introductions to each book, and it's a well-reviewed study Bible. Another one is a ESV study Bible. This one's grown in popularity the last decade or so, and it is full of notes at the bottom of the page, single column, as opposed to the Reformation Study Bible that I just showed you. There are some color photographs in here. There's not real, they're all illustrations. They're not real pictures. But here's an example of, it looks like three or four different colors here to show you a map, show the reader a map to help understand something related to Micah. One of the popular things about this particular study Bible is the articles in the back. I think there's over 200 pages of articles on theology and other religions and Christian history and interpreting the Bible. There's a lot of different articles. So this is the ESV study Bible. Another one I'll show you came out, I think, about 3 or 4 years ago. It's called the Cultural Backgrounds Study Bible. This one's from Zondervan. This one follows the NIV translation, but I think you can get this one in different translations. And the following kind of a theme of study Bibles to be released in recent years, there's full color photographs. So actually, here's a nice, this is a famous mosaic of Alexander the Great. And it goes with this article on Greek history to help the reader understand Daniel chapter 8. Here's a coin of Alexander. So this one too, the cultural background helps you understand the history and the social setting and the customs of related to the different settings of different books of the Bible. So this one in Matthew here is showing a model of Herod's palace in Jerusalem. This one's red letter too. So if that's your preference, this might be a good choice for you. Just lots and lots of colored photographs and illustrations. Really well done, really high quality. And so again, it's kind of similar to the Archaeological study Bibles. Subheading is Bringing to Life the Ancient World of Scripture. So kind of similar. Here's the Systematic Theology Study Bible that is from Crossway, I believe, yes, and uses the English Standard Version. There are different articles in this study Bible on theology to help the reader understand the theological message behind the text. So this one I just flipped to is Jeremiah chapter 11, and you see here's an article. I would say it's probably 100 words or so on attributes of God. And this particular attribute is that God is a living God. And so there's a description. In this case, it's 3 paragraphs helping the reader understand doctrine, with also some cross-references, not on the text itself, which a lot of study Bibles will have cross-references to the text itself. Actually, this one does too. Here's some cross-reference section down here. But these verses here are cross-references related to this particular doctrine. And then it ends with, it looks like about 4 or 5 sentences on helping the reader apply this doctrine to their life. So let's see if we can find another example in here. Has book introductions. This particular one in 1 Samuel is about mankind or systematic theology. It might be in the category of anthropology, we might say. Again, it looks like about 4 or 5 paragraphs of describing the doctrine or teaching about the doctrine, application, cross-reference. Let's find a New Testament example as well. Okay, so Romans 15. There's looks like it's one long paragraph about church life. So in systematic theology, you might call it ecclesiology, and there's an application section. So this is a Systematic Theology Study Bible from Crossway. This one has been out for maybe 10 years, but it used to have a different title. I think the old title was Zondervan Study Bible or something similar to that. I have an article on this this study Bible on my website, and I kind of give the history. But in the last few years, it was rebranded as Biblical Theology Study Bible. And D.A. Carson is the editor for this, and Douglas Moo, if you're familiar with him, he's written many commentaries. He's part of this project as well. It's kind of a one-stop shopping study Bible. You'll find notes on history, theology, not as many illustrations as the archaeological or cultural study Bible, but there's some. Here's one to Psalms, and it has a nice color photograph for this book introduction. And here's a wall painting from some musicians at Thebes. So there are illustrations in here. There are articles. Here's one, the Wisdom and Lyrical Books. And so this helps the reader understand Psalms and Proverbs and some of the other wisdom literature and scripture. So it's very nice study Bible. It has articles and different tools in the back, similar to the ESV study Bible. It's very big. So sometimes with the ESV study Bible or one like this, I've heard people say it's too big to take to church. Well, it's not that heavy, but it's bigger than some other Bibles out there. So, but it's really high quality. This one's really well reviewed. Again, been rebranded the last few years. Christian Standard Bible. I used to know this translation as the HCSB, so I think it might have been a rebranding, or maybe they just call it CSB for short. But anyway, it's put out by Holman, and it follows the CSB translation, if you're not familiar with that. So here is one of the full-color illustrations for an introduction to the book of Proverbs. 2-column text, red letter, as you can see. There are color photographs. Here's some coins of a Roman denarius. There's a map of early church expansion. So a lot of illustrations, a lot of color in this one. It's a little bit wider, I think I would say. It feels a little bit wider than some others. Let's just see here. Yeah, a little bit. It's a little bit wider, but that probably won't bother a lot of people. Here's a really interesting one, Chronological Study Bible. For a long time, the Chronological Study Bible that I was aware of was the Reese Chronological Study or Reese Chronological Bible that I think used the King James Version, maybe the NIV too. But the NIV or Thomas Nelson has put out this Chronological Bible that you can get in the NIV version, and you can see here. I'll show you these color tabs here. It's got yellow, green, whatever, greenish blue, purple or red or something. This follows like a timeline. So these different color codes are for different epochs, as they're called in the study Bible. So here's an epoch that Leviticus is found in. Then epoch 4 in 2 Samuel. And let's look at a couple of others. Epoch 5 for Isaiah. Epoch 6, looks like latter part of the Old Testament. Epoch 7, even latter part of the Old Testament. There we go, Gospels. So there's Luke in whatever this color is, brownish. Then we have the period of Acts and Paul's missionary journeys. It's kind of a light green, light brown, something like that. But lots of color illustrations here, lots of notes on the pages, cross references. Here's a full color timeline. There are a lot of visual aids in here. There's 2 timelines here. Here's another, looks like a painting related to 2 Chronicles and Solomon. One of Solomon's battles. So if you are a visual learner, Chronological Bible might be really helpful, and maybe the cultural or one of these archaeological study Bibles might be really helpful if you're just really helped out by illustrations and visual aids. So the last one I'll show you is a newer one called the Ancient Faith Study Bible, and I really like this one. Comes in a nice box. If you like history and theology and church history in particular, I think that you will really enjoy this study Bible. So it follows the English Standard, or uses the English Standard Bible. So like this CSB Bible, same people, Holman. So the study notes in here are all from early church fathers. And if you're not familiar with that term, that's the early leaders, the early theologians, the early pastors of the church wrote a lot of theology and gave a lot of sermons. And sometimes those sermons were written down. Well, these notes at the bottom of the page are all from the early church. So I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's the second through sixth century early church fathers, the theologians, the pastors, the leaders, have written these notes. So obviously people have taken these notes from these early church fathers related to a particular text and put them in this study Bible for notes. So here is the beginning of Psalm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so here's a note on Psalm 2:9 from Augustine, an early church father, 3rd, 4th century. And it tells you this is from a sermon. So he was preaching on this passage, and here's a note on this verse that comes from his sermon. Psalm 1:3. Here's John of Damascus, who is writing a book called Orthodox Faith, and he discusses Psalm 1:3, and so there's a note. I have a full article on this particular study Bible and all its features and examples of the theologians, and examples of their notes on my website, and so you can find out even more about this. But it's a very unique study Bible. I have not seen anybody do this before. Here's Proverbs 14:31, Chrysostom 15:9, Basil the Great. Let's get some New Testament examples. Augustine again for Mark 9:24. Here's a few paragraphs of his commentary on this. Jerome, Cyril of Alexander, Athanasius. So pretty neat study Bible, 2-column format, larger font size also than a lot of study Bibles. So there's book introductions too. I'll find one here because they're usually from early church. Well, so some of the description is from, or the description is written by modern day writers, but it will have a section on. So, for example, here Augustine on 1 Samuel chapter 2. So the history and theology is throughout, even in the introductions. So at the moment, I've just seen this in this hardback version that comes with this box. So. The Ancient Faith Study Bible. So thank you for looking at this survey, watching this survey on the study Bibles. I hope it's been helpful to you. And if you have any questions, please send me an email. And thank you for visiting my website.